another episode of the Last of Us Talk Show. I'm your host, Mikey, and today we are doing Season 1, Episode 7, Left Behind Instant Reaction. Before we get into that, though, there was one thing I wanted to mention that I'm pretty sure I forgot to mention in the last episode where we did Season 1, Episode 6, Kin video game comparison. And the one big thing I pretty sure now that I forgot to mention when I did the second recording after I messed up the first one was that the old couple that we get in the beginning of the episode, we do not see them at all in the video game. That was an added scene for the TV show that I really appreciate again because we really needed uh some comic relief and to relieve some of the tension that we had been feeling. So it was really great to get that scene and see those characters. And we got to see Joel use this tactic with them, where he has them both point to where they are on the map separately to make sure that he's not being lied to about where he is. Now, in the video game, that doesn't happen until a little bit later on, and it's more violent. I mean, I guess in the TV show, it's a little bit violent because he's threatening violence, right? Um, but it's more than that. There's some physical violence involved in the video game. So I'll be curious to see if that's something that they decided to do away with, and that's why they showed him doing that here with this old couple, or will we still see him use this tactic later on down the line? I'm gonna be looking closely for that and see uh, if they still do that sort of um, tactic and do it the way it was portrayed in the video game. All right, I just wanted to mention those couple of things, but now let's get into our season 1, episode 7, Left Behind Instant Reaction. This one was directed by Liza Johnson, and this one kind of stars Pedro Pascal. I mean, we at least see him in the episode, so it's not what he's the main star of the or one of the main stars of the show, but I wouldn't say he was a star of this episode, right? He's barely in it. This one is mainly centered around our other main character, Bella Ramsey, portraying Ellie, and we got our newcomer Storm Reed playing Riley. And you know, like I said a while ago now, I am all in on Bella Ramsey being Ellie. She has convinced me a while ago that yes, she is Ellie. There might have been some people still on the fence out there, and maybe they were waiting for this episode to really make their decision. Because in the video game, up until this point, you're seeing most of the story through the eyes of Joel. And I feel like it's been mostly that way in the TV show. Obviously, we take some side journeys where we see Bill and Frank, and we saw, that episode was basically through their eyes, which is pretty cool. But most of the time, when we are with our main characters, Joel and Ellie, we're still seeing it mostly through the point of view of Joel. So now that we switched point of views over to Ellie, this was going to need to be a huge performance, and it was going to this was going to be the statement performance of who Ellie is, right? So Bella Ramsey is Ellie. We got no doubt about that now with this episode for sure. If there was anybody that had an inkling of doubt left, this episode should have put that away because she did amazing. Storm Reed was amazing in this episode as well, and given the events of this episode, it needed to be great acting, and they pulled it off. Um, it was a great world building in general. I mean, just to see, we got to go inside more places and see we got to see what it was like living behind quarantine's own walls. We get to see what it was like uh, with going to a federal school. We get to see in general what it's like to be a teenager growing up in this world. Really good world building, and it was good to see that. And you know what? We not only did we get to see what it's like growing up to be a teenager in this world, but we get to see that from different points of view as well, opposing points of view and opposing life experiences. So, um, I feel like even though we only focused on two characters, you really get a pretty good and a grand view of what it's like for teenagers growing up in this world. But yeah, again, great episode. Obviously, a lot of great cinematography in here. The music they chose to put in here was great, and glad that they kept certain songs. Um, from the video game to the TV show, which we'll talk about when we get into the full breakdown and the game comparison as well. But yeah, that Etta James, "I Got You, Babe," that was cool that they kept that for that scene. And we'll get, like I said, we'll get more into that when we get to the breakdown and the game comparison. But I guess that's all I have to say about this episode for now. I thought it was a great episode. Again, um, just great work by Bella Ramsey and Storm Reed. And yeah, actually, but before I sign off, if I could say one thing that I do remember now, that I feel like there's little lines here being changed here and there that aren't like a big deal, but as a video game player, you're expecting, because there's so many lines that they've done word for word. When they change a line even a little bit and you were expecting a certain line, it is a little bit jarring. Like there was one certain line that I was like expecting, oh well, that was said so perfectly in the video game, they're gonna say it in the TV show that exact way. And the line that was said, it wasn't, it still had the same, got the same point across. But I'm wondering if there's anybody else out there who is a game player who that is a little bit jarring for you. Like I know people were talking about in the last episode where Joel says don't, instead of treading on mighty thin ice. So I feel like the line that was changed in this episode, and I guess we'll talk about it more when we get to the game comparison and even the breakdown. So I can't say a lot about it here, but they say basically the same exact thing. But it makes me wonder why there's certain lines that they decide to keep exactly the same, and some lines that they decide to change, even if it's just a little. Anyways, again, great episode. And can't wait for the next one. See you on the next episode. So make sure that you hit the subscribe button on YouTube. Leave me comments. Let me know what you thought about the episode. Make sure you're subscribed on Apple Podcasts and leaving 5-star ratings and written reviews, because it helps out the show. Yeah, and share it with all your friends. Until next time, endure and survive.